What's up, guys? Welcome to Newswave. Now we're going to start doing something a little different, something kind of fun. I'll let you guys vote on the topic that goes on the front thumbnail for any of the Newswaves to do going forward, unless something big gets announced down the road, like, I don't know, maybe like a new Metroid gets announced at E3. Sorry, I'm putting that on the thumbnail. Anything other than that going forward, I'm going to let you guys vote on Twitter, so make sure you're following me there, and whenever I post that night about the topics, I'll let you guys vote and decide what you want to see on the thumbnail, and I'll make it work. And this first one, you guys pretty much decided for me with the Nintendo stock, so there you go, that was the front thumbnail. So yeah, make sure you're following me on Twitter, guys, and with that, let's get started for today. First thing I'm going to talk about today, guys, is kind of a somber topic because it involves people losing their job. Now, remember how we talked about IO Interactive having their funding pulled by Square? They were trying to get rid of them, sell them off, figure out something to do with them because Square just did not see them as profitable in the long run, which of course is bad if you're a Hitman fan because IO Interactive made what most people are saying is the best Hitman game they've ever played. And unfortunately, with funding being pulled, IO Interactive has to cut costs somewhere. The easiest place, or at least the place you can control cost the best, is through payroll, and unfortunately it looks like IO Interactive is going to be cutting their payroll pretty well. And they made this statement on Twitter, just letting people know that this is what's happening because their funding has been cut. They went ahead and said, "Today at IO Interactive, we had to make some changes to our studio, which will allow us to be better equipped for our future adventures. We're sad that great talent and good friends will be leaving the studio. We are doing everything possible to look after everyone affected. Thank you for your support and understanding, IOI." Now, obviously, the unfortunate thing is that looks like LOL at the bottom there, but this is not a laughing matter, obviously, because people are now getting cut and losing their jobs. We don't really know how many are being cut. We just know at this point they are cutting expenses at payroll, which means they are sending people out the door. Unfortunate, but if you can't pay them, don't keep them around like Crytek did. And of course, it's a problem for Hitman fans, like I said before, because originally there were 3 seasons planned. We only have the first season of the game. We're still waiting for 2 more. And who knows what's happening right now. It looks like IO Interactive is going to attempt to stay open because they're talking about future adventures. Hopefully that means that they can retain the Hitman rights and just scrounge up enough money to make the second season, because that could potentially help their studio heavily, since the first one sold well enough, I think, to keep a studio like that afloat. Unfortunately, at this point, only time will tell. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. Hopefully they don't shut down, because realistically, after we saw that Hitman series that came out, the first season, it's pretty obvious it's a very talented people over there. And guys, if you missed my video last night, check that out in the card up top here. That is, of course, for the new Xbox Live Game Pass that came out, where you can sign up for $10 a month and you get access to a ton of games that you download locally and play them on your machine. Now, I went through some of the games in that video and I was kind of surprised because there's quite a bit of content there for $10 a month. Realistically, if you put $10 a month into that and then maybe you buy new games occasionally, you will be set up pretty well with a great backlog right away with $10. They're all downloaded. None of them are streamed at all. And from what I can tell, there may be plans, as far as we can tell here so far, with Microsoft's plans of moving Xbox games around. I would not be shocked if this made its way to a Windows PC soon. Like, you could see Game Pass being a thing on your computer, honestly, in the next year or so, depending on how fast they want to accelerate this process, because I can see this doing well. Subscription-based service have been shown to do well with things like Netflix. I see no reason why, if they do not market and push this correctly, that they can get people on board. It's a great value, honestly, for $10 a month with the games on there. I mean, they have Halo 5, which I think is their big game they're showing off. But then they have other stuff as well. I mean, all the Banjo games were on there, which was awesome when I saw that. I wanted to play Banjo-Kazooie. After I stopped filming, I actually went back on there and played a little bit of Banjo-Kazooie, and it plays perfectly on the Xbox One, so it's a pretty good value. Depending on, obviously, which games get cycled in and cycled out is going to affect your thoughts on the service, but overall, man, this is a great start to some interesting stuff here. Next up, we got our first big look at the new Castlevania series for Netflix that we heard about earlier in the year. We heard that there was a new Castlevania series being put in development for Netflix as like a Netflix original series by Adi Shankar, who is going to develop it and make it a more mature themed video that you'd watch on Netflix. Looks like it's gonna be a full season. And we get a release date and an awesome looking trailer. So the release date is July 7th, so not long actually, but like a month and a half. And it looked great. The animation was great, the art looks good, and it looks bloody and violent like Castlevania should. Castlevania 3 is what it's going to be based on, so we're going to get a full-on like adaptation of the Castlevania 3 game from the NES, and it looks great. I love the trailer when they first start out because they take the NES cartridge, they pop it in, they load up like that Netflix style that a person developed at, it was like a gaming competition, convention thing they did for fun, and somebody put like House of Cards on an NES cartridge. They started that cart up, and then you could see them go to Castlevania, start that up, and then of course it turns into the new looking Castlevania that it looks great. So yes, I will be watching that July 7th. If it's any way how Netflix is supposed to be, we should get all the episodes on July 7th. So you can pretty much binge watch the entire series and pretty much get a full review on the entire series day one. Looking forward to it. I am very excited to see what Adi Shankar does with this anime style Castlevania series. And randomly, out of nowhere, some key art was released or leaked for Far Cry 5 coming out. Of course, we're going to see a full reveal for it. I assume gameplay, trailer, the whole deal. Friday, tomorrow, we should see all of that, but up until that point, we did get a really cool piece of concept art or key art that shows a ton of information in one still. So the still pretty much has this, like an homage to Da Vinci's Last Supper, where you see what I assume to be the big bad, the main bad guy right in the middle there, and then you have like his cronies around him, and then it looks like you have either a protagonist or just a victim who is supposed to be there to illustrate what is happening right there. And it's supposed to, it looks like it may deal with some religious undertones there, the way they have this set up. This could be interesting. I really want to see where they go with this, because this looks different to a point. Does it still kind of look the same as, say, Far Cry 4, where we had our big bad, obviously, and you had people around him? Yes, but this is at least a different type of setting. Religious undertones could be interesting overall for the series, and now I really want to see how they set this plot up. Are you somebody visiting a very weird part of the US where it's kind of closed off, almost like a Twin Peaks type thing, and you show up there and it's just crazy stuff happening? All like, it could be like these guys who are like religious nuts who punish people for not believing what they believe. It could be very interesting to see how they play this out with a full story. Either way, I'm excited at least to see where they go with this series on Friday. Definitely stop by. I'll probably do a new Newswave extra just for that, so we can kind of go over what we see. And guys, in our last bit of news today, we can talk about the Nintendo share price, which has now topped the original high in the last 5 years, which was created by the Pokemon Go spike. Of course, Nintendo did not control all of Pokemon Go and all profits there, so they didn't profit 100% from that, but obviously with the Switch they are profiting much more, and it has now driven their stock price up over that original high. Now Nintendo's closing price reached 31,880 yen, which is $284.95 in USD. And that is the highest it's been in 5 years. Now, the last time it was ridiculously high was with the Wii. I don't know if they'll ever get back to that point, because that was insanity that I don't think anyone's ever seen before out of a video game company like Nintendo. And it was just mayhem back then. But this is great for Nintendo going forward, because this shows that their Switch is able to drive the stock higher than something that was as crazy as Pokemon Go. And keep in mind, the Switch is much more sustainable going forward because they continue to release games for it. Whereas with Pokemon Go, they've kind of been dragging their feet. It took them a while to release new Pokemon. They're still teasing legendaries, which is the big thing that everyone really wants, is like a Mewtwo or a Zapdos. But the Switch will continue to have more games coming out. And this just shows at this point that investors have a ton of confidence in Nintendo right now with their Switch, because people are putting money in. That tells you if people are buying stock, there is some confidence there. Now, this also means that Nintendo will probably continue to push heavily behind the Switch. First-party titles will be aplenty right now. Like, they will be pushing a ton of first-party games going forward, and then trying to, I assume, doing whatever they can to get third parties on board. Indies are there, Japanese developers are there. They need to work on their Western third party presence. That's the big thing right now. If they can rope them in, then they will pretty much have a complete system that should be something you can technically own just by itself. Right now, though, the Switch is definitely something you own with another system that can fill in those gaps that it doesn't have right now. Either way, it looks like Nintendo is, well, they're hitting on all cylinders right now, other than the one I just said. So they're doing well. They just need to keep it up, because of course these stock prices can spike and then go back down. If they want to keep it sustained and leveled, they need to put some work into the Switch and make sure it stays good. Oh, and just real quick, let's take a look at the media create charts that came out in Japan for the past week. Mario Kart 8 still at the top, still number one with 28,781 units sold through. And then the hardware sales, of course, Nintendo Switch still at the top there, 26,114 units sold through as well, which is up about 2,000 units from the week before. And that brings the Switch to 875,989 units total, which tells me on its current pace it will probably pass 1 million with the help from ARMS, because ARMS will probably create another spike in consoles. I'm sure there will be more consoles provided by Nintendo at that time as well, much like what they did with Mario Kart. So that is when I see it crossing 1 million, and that'll be pretty quick that it crossed 1 million units. That's a big deal because, like I said, the PS4 is at 4.7 million, and the Switch will have crossed 1 million units like rapidly, very quickly. And it's just gonna keep going. It's gonna snowball continuously when Splatoon 2 comes out. So Japan, I think, is something that the Switch will own sooner than you think. I could see it passing the PS4 in, like I said, a total time and lifetime sales, 1.5 years, maybe 1.75 years. But it will definitely pass the PS4 in Japan only. I'm not saying everywhere else, just in Japan, because the Switch is technically a handheld as well, and the Japanese culture loves handheld systems. And that's it for Newswave today, guys. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe, all of that good stuff. Let me know what you think about what we talked about today, including the Media Create, the stock high right now for Nintendo. Let me know what you think about that, or maybe you're excited for the Castlevania series like I am, because it looks awesome. Or maybe you're excited for Far Cry 5 because we'll finally get gameplay and full story trailer, I assume, to explain what is going on there this Friday. So definitely check back here, because if it's a live stream, I don't think it is. If it's a live stream, I will stream it. If it's just a trailer, I will do a Newswave Extra just in case you guys miss it and you just want a breakdown. That's it for now, guys. I will see you next time.